that compiled so much faster. The first video took like minutes and minutes and minutes. In fact, you know what? I watched almost an entire StarCraft match in that time. So it took like 15 minutes to compile. The second one, it took like 30 seconds, and then it was done. It was awesome. This is Monty Cook. Now, I know that all 2,500 of you have no clue who Monty Cook is. Some of you might. Monty Cook wrote the Dungeon Master's Guide for the 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons. He is a gaming legend. He has been around the block. He has been writing role-playing game material for over a decade. For almost 2 decades? He's written for a number of different systems, a number of different companies. He started his own company. He pioneered the use of PDF products in the early 2000s. So many things that he's done. And he had two different companies that he was appearing for at Gen Con. One was DriveThruRPG, and one was Gaming Paper. DriveThruRPG is an awesome company. I buy a lot of stuff through them. They were one of the early sites that allowed you to buy products, RPG products in PDF. Back when that was brand new, they were the people that were out there doing it. And now they're starting a sort of print service as well, where they're going to have... Because it's nice to get some books in PDF, which is fine. There's a whole bunch of PDF products that are great to have. But sometimes you need a physical copy. And they're going to start printing now. And some of the products that they're bringing back into print and that are kind of like flagship titles for this service are Monty Cook's books. Arcana Evolved, which I bought at the con, and Talus. Talus, I've mentioned before on Strovil's channel, maybe on this channel, was a gaming opus. When they were coming out with 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, Monty Cook was running a game to test out the rules. So, you know, he was one of the main writers of 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, and he was running a personal game to kind of test out the rules and figure stuff out. Talus was a world built assuming that the 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons rules were how the world works. And he wrote it as a campaign setting. It's like 500 or 600 pages long. When he originally sold it, it was hardbound in like a textbook. It was perfect bound. The book could be held open completely flat, and everything would hold its... the pages would hold. It wouldn't like crack the spine or anything. It was wonderful. It was incredibly high production value, very good paper. The cover was textured. And then what happened was only so many were printed. I mean, they were expensive. They cost a lot of money. I think I paid, it was like $180 or something like that I paid to get Talus. So yeah, it was an expensive product. So then what he did was he released it in PDF, and you could get like one big PDF, or you could get any of the chapters, kind of sections of the book as smaller PDFs, and I have both. I have the PDFs and the actual book. Well, a lot of people needed a print version because it's just so much material. It's difficult to deal with in a PDF format, so they wanted, a real book, and it was too expensive to reprint. But now with DriveThruRPG, they can reprint it. And so he was there to sign that. I bought Arcana Evolved because I only had a PDF version of that. I never had a hard copy, and I got mine signed. And actually, this is not my Arcana Evolved that he's signing right there, but it is Arcana Evolved. I can tell based on the red color and then the black color on the edges there. The other product that he was there for was for Gaming Paper. Gaming Paper is a company that makes gaming paper. Essentially, there used to be these cool tiles you could buy, and you could write on them with all different kinds of markers, and they lock together like puzzle pieces and that. And then that company, I don't want to say they went out of business because they weren't bringing in money, but their suppliers weren't able to supply them the materials that they needed anymore, so they went out of business. Gaming Paper kind of stepped in, and what they basically do is they just print out. It's cheap paper. It's brown. It's kind of waxy, and it's got a grid printed on it. And you get like 100 square feet of it or something for like $4. So it's really good. You just pull out what you need, rip it off, draw your map, play your game. That's the paper that we saw in those pictures earlier. If I can get back to some. This. What you're looking at here is gaming paper. And it works very well. Let me see if I can get back to Monty. There he is. So, but they also they hired a cartographer. His name's Christopher West. And he drew this massive dungeon. And then they had another guy write up a dungeon to go with that map. And then what they did was the map was made such that every one of the pieces, that you could fit them together in different ways. It wasn't that, I mean, the map is like 7 feet by 10 feet when you put down all the sheets of paper. It's 100 sheets of paper, 7 feet by 10 feet, something like that. And, but all of the rooms, you could move them around and fit them together different ways. So they gave that map to Monty Cook, Ed Greenwood, who we heard about earlier, a guy named Brian Crujiro or something like that. I actually have it right here. I can grab it. Brian Cortijo and Stephen Shend. Stephen Shend is actually one of the employees, I believe, of Gaming Paper. And they basically said, here, pick whatever one of the, whatever pieces of this map you want, fit them together however you want, and write a dungeon. And that's why, that's this book that you can see right here and right here. It's called All Stars Take on the Mega Dungeon. And so when I was in line here, I was the first one in line, I had Monty Cook sign my Mega Dungeon book. These three girls were in the hallway getting their pictures taken. This time they were standing around, and when I got my camera out, they stood very nicely, and they're looking directly at my camera, which is why they're looking directly at my camera. I actually don't know who she's dressed up as. This is like a little Bo Peep, and this is like a goth little Bo Peep, I don't know, and then this is like, what, a Japanese little Bo Peep? This guy's dressed up as a miniature, I believe, from the War Machine game. And he's actually right in this picture standing in the exact same pose as the figure he's based on. It's a very good recreation. There's Magneto and Mystique. Very good costumes. That lady is wearing blue spandex for her body and then blue face paint. But it's all put together very well. I mean, some of these people are coming in incredibly elaborate costumes. There's some lady with furs on. This lady, when we came out of the vendor hall, she had like an actual fur, like a big fur, like a bearskin kind of fur, although not really a bearskin. And she was putting it down on the ground and then like posing on it. Not posing like sexy pose, but posing like ferocious pose, like wild woman pose or something. And then when we came out, she had thrown the blanket aside and stood up and posed for a picture. And again, this one's not for me, but I managed to catch to quickly snap a photo. There's a lady in like chainmail everything. And what was happening, it was funny, she was just kind of standing around and somebody else had her pose and I got a picture off. But she was watching these guys. She wasn't there posing for people. She was just standing around watching these guys and someone asked her to stop for a picture real quick. And these guys, there's those two. Oh, see, that's the guy. They got together and took another. I didn't know if the first picture was blurry, so I took a second one. But yeah, there's these three guys and they were staging a fight against each other. And of course, since they're all moving around a lot right in front of the troll, actually just imagine that they didn't know the troll was there and he snuck up on them. But yeah, they were staging a fight. They choreographed a fight. And unfortunately, because they're moving around, all the pictures are slightly blurry. I tried to snap pictures. Luckily, it was so bright, you can tell how bright it is in the background, that my camera doesn't have to keep the shutter open for very long. And so they're not as blurry as they would otherwise have been. Well, another funny thing was they were staging this fight, but only one of them remembered to bring the sword. So they had to fight each other and grab the sword from each other. You can't see it at all right here, but he's actually holding the sword. The sword is right here. It's just it's moving in such a way that the camera can't catch it on. I was going to say on film, even though there's not really film. Later on that night, we were at dinner at P.F. Chang's, and these are a bunch of people that I know from my message boards. Had never met any of them in real life, except for a couple of them that I had played the games with the previous 2 nights. And that I don't know why I was taking that picture. I think I just wanted a picture of his drink, or I was testing out my camera in the lighting conditions to see how well it would take a photo. This is with the zoom way on. You haven't seen it yet, but that drink is right here with these condiments. And again, just snapping a photo at random during the night, try and catch a bunch of people in it. And there it is, like literally half a second later. There's photo to the one side, and I like this. I would have deleted this photo because of how everybody's face is just a little bit blurry, but it goes so well with this. It's like, imagine at the top left corner of the screen someone snaps. Huh? They all just turn in unison. It's just such a perfect shot. There's people to the other side of me. This is what well, when we sat down, I didn't know how they had done this. They have had this dinner at Gen Con for years and years. And they said, basically, order an appetizer, order an entree, and we'll kind of just share it around. So I ordered, this is salt and pepper calamari. It's just fried calamari. This dipping sauce that is here was very tasty. I loved it. It was delicious. And then the guy wearing the Bad Wolf shirt there ordered 2 plates of fried string beans. And the other guy's like, why did you order 2? And he says, taste one and you will know. And the guy tastes one and he's like, oh, that's why. The string beans themselves weren't like all that, but the sauce that comes with it, it looks like nacho cheese. It's actually just like a tangy sauce, and it's delicious. It's wonderful. There's a guy's lettuce wraps. This is me using the flash on the camera to see if that would take a picture photo far away. Just taking. This is later on in the night. We had moved down to the other end because you remember back here, these people were on. They're over here on my side of the table, and then there's this guy in the back with the red shirt on, all the way over there. So at the end of the night, we moved down and we were talking, took some more pictures. This is the other half of the table. There's this guy. This guy's actually one of my proteges. On the message boards a while back, I don't know whose elbow that is. I guarantee you it's not my elbow, because I can't get my elbow in front of my face that way. But on our message boards a couple years back, years and years back, wow, I'm old. We had sort of like this role-playing fight on the boards, and I was a paladin, and this guy signed up for the boards at that time and was one of the paladins on my side. And it was nice to meet him in person. He's a really nice guy. This is just, I figured I needed to give you a shot. I didn't get one in the vendor hall, but I wanted to just kind of put my camera up high in the air and give you an idea of how many people are here. This is just the first wave of people to head into the vendor hall. I mean, there were easily tens of thousands of people at this place. I mean, the whole place was just full of people. All the time, all day long, even at 1 o'clock in the morning, which was the latest that I was actually at the convention hall, because we had to drive. Our hotel wasn't right next to the convention hall. We had to drive out a ways from the city. It was like a 10-minute drive to get there. But there were just people all over the place. This is when I finally got my book signed by Ed Greenwood. I was the fourth person in line. Actually, what was funny was, as we're waiting to get in, they haven't opened the hall yet. You see this lady in the wheelchair with the pink shirt? She was the first person in line for Ed Greenwood, and then there was a couple, actually this couple right here, with the purple shirt and the guy right behind her right here in the black shirt. These three were the first 3 people in line for Ed Greenwood, and I was next. And he signed the book for my brother, took a picture, and then took the microphone from the other guy. There was a guy trying to get people to come to play the game with the squares on the ground where you roll the big D20, and Ed Greenwood took it, and he was telling people, you know, come along, get in line, get a free book, take your clothes off. He was much funnier about it. I was walking down the hallway, and I saw this, and I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. It was so hilarious, and I walked back, and I had to try and take a picture of it without seeming too rude. There's just these 2 doors open, and they say lost and found, and there's these 2 dejected-looking guys sitting in a chair, and I'm like, that is so perfect. It's like they're lost, and they need someone to come pick them up. Again, nothing against them, it's just that the situation was funny. They were actually waiting in line to go, you know, talk to the person about Lost and Found. When we were driving back, we were driving through Indiana and Ohio, and there was this car ahead of us, and the rust bucket itself. And as we're driving by, we're bypassing it, and I knew I had to take a picture. I started this picture just as the back of his car was entering my window. And then, in the split second it took for the picture to take, I caught the front of his car, and I was so happy that it came out so clear. There was also this car. You can see the license plate is P1P, and it says here pretty in pink. Unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of the side of the car very well. But this car was all, you can see it's just like all broken and busted up. And there's the side of the car. There's just like spray paint up and down the side, kind of in a fancy little swirl. This is the rear view mirror up here on the side. Unfortunately, we were trying to catch up to Pretty in Pink and get beside her, but then the highway split. One half went to one half went to one part of Ohio, and the other half went where we were going, and that's what this big area is in between. And unfortunately, that was as close as I got to Pretty in Pink. And there it is, just a couple seconds later, still driving away. This right here is just me taking a picture of the sky because it looked pretty. I like it. I actually like this photo. Everything came out, for, everything moving, everything came out nice and crisp, which confused me. Then there was a Porsche, or a Porsche, depending on how you pronounce it. How often do you get to take a picture of a Porsche? So I took a picture of one. This is my swag bag, which will be in the next video. So until then, bye-bye.